Hello. What do you know? What do you know? Big show? Let's go. You're not watching the NFT Action News. You are watching Dcentr Action Live, Blockchain Browser Series Part 2. And I'm sitting here with my brother, Mr.LeftHouse, and the great Rich James from Dcentr.
Very kind of you.
How are you doing, Rich?
Very well indeed. Thank you for that fantastic introduction. I've just got through your seizure-inducing credits, and I'm very glad to be. And I've survived, so I'm very glad to be here. And it's great to meet Emmett. Emmett wasn't on last week, so this is a new addition to the interviewing team.
Yes. I'm happy to be here. Wouldn't miss it.
I guess my opinion would be Brian is a very powerful and charismatic host. What do you feel you bring to the picture, Emmett, if I might ask you? Because you're obviously a very good-looking man. What else do you bring to the show? Because I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I can say real quick, he brings a lot. He's the brains behind the operation.
Come on.
Okay. I'm just the mouthpiece.
Okay, so you're the face and he's the brains. I've got high hopes for this operation.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see how that works out.
Awesome, guys. Well, great to be here, and thank you for having me back. I think this is only the second time I've ever been invited back to anything, so it's good to be here.
Well, if you play your cards right, you might be back a third. Well, you will.
Boy, that'd be real Guinness Book of Records stuff.
Yeah.
But, it's great to be here, guys. It was a fun show last week. We got a lot of great feedback, by the way. A lot of great feedback from the show last week because Emmett, I think probably LeftHouse has told you we're trying to like cross promote and get this out to our community, etc. And I got a lot of great feedback last week from the show, so that was awesome as well. So I appreciate you having me on because that's working for me, and I hope it's working for you guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I gotta say that the Dcentr browser is working quite well for me. You know, I've been like now since last week, literally, I'm not even kidding you. Right after we got off the air, instead of going to bed like a normal person, because when we got off the air, we ended up talking again for another 30-45 minutes or something. Then when we got off our chat, I started like, getting into it and moving all of my, saved tabs. I did it all.
Awesome.
And I'm in love. I'm enjoying my Dcentr experience so far this past week. Yeah.
Great feedback. I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah. It's been good. It's super fast. I'm telling you, it's way faster than any of the other ones.
Well, and this is the thing that our brilliant developers have done. I'll give them a shout out there, quite frankly. Remember, this is all on the blockchain. One might have thought, well, that's probably going to slow it down. If every action you take on the internet is recorded as a secure transaction on the blockchain, every time you tap the keyboard, every click of the mouse, you would have thought that'd slow it down. But these guys have found a way. They have found a way to make it even faster. That's pretty awesome. So it's really great to get that feedback so that we know that as well. But we do hear that a lot. So very encouraging in that respect.
Yeah, super cool. So last week we basically kind of got into our little intro and talked about sort of like, well, what was it? We were trying to get to that one sentence last week.
Good. So you can give that to me right now because I'm sure you've been thinking about it a lot. Go ahead.
Well, let's flip this one over to my brother. Let's see if Emmett has one for this.
Okay, so we'll start. I can help you, of course. So of course, Dcentr is building something, and we all know what that is now because we were all here last week studying closely. Let me help you. We'll move it on because I know we've only got 30 minutes. So consider it a rhetorical question. So what we did last week, we just wanted to define. All we wanted to define was the elevator pitch because it is tricky. It's a very expansive project.
The one-liner.
Yeah, and what we came and as me and LeftHouse talked about last week, not the sales slogan. I realized that's going to have to be a different thing. This was just the elevator pitch you might tell to your grandma or an investor, as opposed to a sales slogan. So here's what we came up with, and here's what was playing well in the community after we had this conversation last week. So here it is in one line. And remember, we discussed it needs to be what is it? What does it do? And why does it matter? And here it is. Dcentr is building a natively blockchain-aware browser. So in other words, it's building a blockchain browser integrated with a custom blockchain that gives mainstream users access to all the benefits of blockchain. So in other words, first time ever that mainstream users have access to the blockchain and all its benefits. And that's why it's a big deal, because Joe Average in the street cannot access the blockchain except through our browser. I realize that was 4 lines. I just wanted to make a point.
Yes. So if you compare that down to 1 line, M, that's the mission, the goal.
Well,
okay.
Easy. Let's go with it. Easy. It's a blockchain browser. It's a blockchain browser that gives mainstream users access to the blockchain and all its benefits, including economic benefits. That's it.
And hold on a second. Hold on 1 second, boys. I got to ask Rich a question, because you said this is the elevator pitch for grandma. Is grandma going to understand what you just said? Right?
Well, okay.
You know what I mean? We might have problems there. We might need to somehow simplify that.
I guess that would have to be a grandma that is kind of into blockchain.
Yeah, kind of like a
point taken.
grandma.
Point taken. I mean, I guess that'd be good for investors. Well, I mean, the simplest, it is a browser. Yeah, I mean, it's hard.
I mean, this is like the pitch for the space, right? You know what I mean?
Space, yeah. So I guess we'll take grandma out of it. I guess I dragged her in too early.
I always bring her in. I always drag her into it. I do too. So I get where you're coming from, because she's if you can get grandma to use the product, then you've won. Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure this conversation is going in a direction I'm comfortable with.
No, fair enough. I'm just saying, she's the layman, you know. We'll go on. We'll move on. So, okay, we'll come back. We'll come back to that.
I would just say that you're quite right. That's not quite the pitch we're going to have to use for the layman or the commercial marketing. That's true. But all we really need to know for the strength of this conversation is, if you have a browser that can access the blockchain, you have the equivalent of what Netscape Navigator did in 1996 for the regular web, and we're doing the same for blockchain. It will create this next iteration of the internet, is what we are going for, because mainstream public access to the blockchain is what's going to usher in the next iteration of the internet, in our humble opinion.
Yeah, I agree with your humble opinion. So I think that's a fair place to sort of move on to the next question that I have for you. So just real quick, when we come over to Dcentr.net, you know, the first thing we see here is the browse to earn, download the thing. And then the next thing up is this section here where it says use your data as a payable value. So download the thing. And then what is going on? Is this section? Hold on a second. Something just happened there. Okay, I hit some weird button. Okay, sorry about that. So my question then is like, well, can you tell us more about like the novel ways you value data and return this value to the users? Like, what is this all about?
Okay, good point.
What are we talking about actually?
Good point, because those are the key goals of what we're doing here. So I guess it's a great question, but overall, what I'd like to do here today is describe what value means for data in a decentralized ecosystem. And that's what we're building, a decentralized ecosystem, and how users can extract value from that data, you know, as you just asked me in that question.
Yeah.
This idea of valuing data in a decentralized ecosystem, a decentralized system more broadly, is where a lot of people struggle with our concepts and features. Now, that struggle is because, and I understand it, and that's why I'm here with you today, the struggle to understand that is simply because there is no real precedent. Let me just elaborate on that a little bit.
Okay.
A 100% decentralized ecosystem has never existed and does not exist. Everything's centralized to an extent. I think we'd accept that at the moment as things stand. So how economics behaves in a fully decentralized system is unknown. There's no model for it. There's no theory for it. Obviously, outside of our algorithms and our test environments where we are testing these models and theories. So that's where a lot of the confusion comes up, even within the space.
Gotcha.
And I'd probably go a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
And I'd say decentralization is a huge issue as regards economics. And I'll bring a little bit of what I think into this and where we came from with the project and the browser. The huge question for us is this: how close can we get to a 100% decentralized economy? Because the next iteration of the web will need full decentralization at the economic level, or what? It will simply be pseudo decentralized and prey to the same manipulation as the current web. It's one or the other. You can't have it both ways. So what I'm saying, and what irritates me, or what worries me, let's put it that way. What worries me is the next iteration of the web is going to be the same stuff, different day, and we'll all feel a little bit better about continuing to be manipulated and harvested for data, because centralized companies will have simply slapped the word decentralized on all their tech and products, and we can all bask in the warm glow of that deception, frankly. And
Right. You know, absolutely. Because where do we sit right now? Where do we stand right now? Like basically the internet as we know it is like kind of ran by like what, 4 or 5 companies, complete, like the majority.
Correct.
You know, yeah.
Correct.
They run most the majority of everything. Yeah.
Correct. And that's what worries me. And they're the ones scraping off all your data and making money off it.
Correct.
So it could not be a more centralized system. And that's, frankly, it scares the hell out of me. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And I speak on behalf of my team, and I believe my community as well. It scares the hell out of me. Everything's being crushed and squashed, and they're taking all your value and selling it on.
Yeah.
So I just don't believe, unless we get this to an economic level, we're still open to manipulation, because isn't that the main level? We are all manipulated. I mean, this is not exactly a conspiracy theory. That's just how it works.
Right.
So unless we can get decentralization, at least economically, to the level of the individual, I'm concerned. I'm concerned. So how? I guess your next question might be, how are you going to do this, Rich? But it's up to you. I will wait for your questions, of course.
Well, Rich, how are you going to do this?
That's you've stumped me. You've stumped me. I didn't see that question coming.
No. Well, you're going to have to pivot quick.
Oh, God damn it. Where's all my notes? But yeah, it's a very good question. Very incisive. Well, let's put it this way. So we discussed last week how we're putting together, and we just discussed it now. We're going to do the blockchain. In the browser integrated with the blockchain creates, just by the way it's all put together, as you can imagine, it creates the next level of decentralization. You see, as I've said, will anything ever be 100% decentralized? Can it be 100% decentralized? Yeah, we'll explore that. Nothing is at the moment except what I'm going to describe. But I think the
right, because I do have a question about that. Because doesn't there have to be somebody always at the end to keep the damn lights on?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay, no, that's the question. I'm not saying I believe it too. I just, but I have questions about that. Like,
I do as well.
We had DeFi Dawson on the other day, and that's one of the things that he was mentioning is that if his platform was fully decentralized, then there would be no central entity or no one that you could reach back to for the tech support or certain things like that. It wouldn't exist in that world. So it's
I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate what you're saying with that. But I believe, and of course, this support has to exist.
Right.
We'll have to into the future, as long as we can see. I mean, at some Star Trekian point in the future, maybe not. But if we're keeping it real, yes, you do need that support. So that level of centralization will be there. But that level of centralization doesn't have to impede upon the other bits of the project that is fully decentralized.
Correct.
It just has to maintain the background technology and support.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be my view. And I guess that's what I'm coming to with what we're doing. I mean, none of us are going to be disappearing and saying, well, you're on your own now. I guess it will self-assemble somehow. I agree that's unrealistic at this point in time.
Right.
So what I'm about to describe is, and literally what I'm about to describe, is a specific feature that is 100% decentralized. and we just have to support the machinery around it. And I know it's a big claim saying, oh, really, 100% decentralized? Are you sure about that? I think I am, and I want to describe that to you now because it is our core feature over at Dcentr.
Beautiful.
So are you ready for
Exciting.
that?
Yeah.
Are you ready for that?
Let's get ready to rumble, as they say. Let's do
rock
it.
and roll. Let's rock and roll then.
I'm in.
So what we need to discuss now, in my opinion, to answer your very, very incisive question, is what happens to data once it is decentralized. In terms of our browser and blockchain, it's decentralized to a much greater extent. And hypothetically, within our test environment and our algorithms, to 100%. Now, this is what is exciting. Once you have that level of decentralization, data has certain properties that make it useful as both a value store and a means of exchange, being the reason money exists, right? In whatever form, whether it's crypto or fiat. That's why money exists. Data can do the same job. In other words, if you could reliably and consistently know what data value is worth, you could actually use that as a fungible currency.
Yes.
And that's where we're headed. We've gone a lot further than that. If that sounds like abstract theory, just let's have a little look at what we've done.
Yes, please.
Or you had a question. Sorry, I cut you short.
Well, no, I think you're about to answer it.
Yes, your powers of prescience are very impressive. I think I might be.
Yeah.
So I guess the question we have to ask then is what would a decentralized economy actually look like? Remember, there is no decentralized economy, there is no decentralized currency, not 100%. So there is no real precedent for this. Actually, somebody was suggesting to me yesterday, and here's a very good example, that the financial markets are an example of a wholly decentralized system. All values are relative, nobody controls it. What would you guys say to that? I got my answer ready. Is that a wholly decentralized system where all values are relative, and they would have to be if it was a genuinely decentralized system? Just regular financial markets, Forex, all that sort of thing. What do you guys think about that? No way. Yeah, no way. Exactly.
No way.
No way. And this is, I'll give you a little bit more of my insight into that, because it's kind of to miss the point. Decentralization by definition is the divesting of power to the individual. So unless anybody can tell me they directly control the financial markets, I know I don't. I'm pretty sure you guys don't. Therefore, somebody else must be doing it. And there's a word for that. It's called centralization. I don't believe it. It doesn't work like that. So it's not truly relative and truly decentralized in the sense that we're talking about. But it was an interesting argument. Now, cryptocurrency is a lot closer. Okay, it's not issued by a central authority, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But even crypto, nobody would argue cryptocurrency is 100% decentralized. And therefore, nor are the ecosystems in which cryptocurrencies exist to serve. Would that be a fair thesis as well? It's not 100% decentralized.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think it's coming up even more now with a lot of these DAOs that are forming, and then you see it kind of catching on as like the buzzword, but then the people that are really taking it seriously and legally making sure they're doing things right in that sense seem to be putting a lot more thought and time and effort into making sure they're doing it correctly.
Exactly. And all of that,
because I feel like it has to be something that, kind of like what you're saying, it starts more centralized and works its way towards becoming that decentralized entity, or
I agree with that 100%. Hey, look, we're living in a centralized world, and as I keep telling everybody, including my team and my community, you can only change the system from within. It's going to start centralized, and it's going to become less centralized. We've all got to face that fact. We live in a centralized world. We've got to work with the tools we've been given and get through to that decentralization. So I do see where you're coming from there. And that's kind of what we're doing here. I'm almost going to make a point here, in a minute. I'm getting there. So decentralization, if we accept that, this is the first thing we figured out for Dcentr and what we're building. And this is a core concept that makes what we call the deconomy, decentralized economy. We call it economy. It makes it viable. But I also understand it's a little confusing at first. But just hear me out on this particular point. This is the first thing we did with the economy based on what we saw coming up in the tech and what we were building. We figured out this, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this. We figured out this, the two key properties of money. Okay, you have the unit of exchange and you have the exchange rate itself. You have a unit of exchange and the exchange rate itself are two key properties of money. They're the two key properties of money. Within a decentralized system, both of those things can be decoupled. They don't have to work together. I mean, they can work independent of each other to actually develop more value for the system and for individuals. Think about that for a minute. I'll slightly clarify that if it's getting a little bit abstract.
Sure.
But I mean, think about that because it makes sense. The unit of exchange and the exchange rate only need to be part of the same thing to service a centralized market economy. That's what they do. But in a decentralized data economy, you can decouple it and more interesting things happen.
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
I was just going to say that. See, didn't I tell you, Rich? He's the brains of the operation.
Well, I'm the face as well. Come on,
exactly.
How much you think it took to get this haircut? I mean, that cost a lot. We had to crowdfund the beard.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
But let me. If you've got no immediate questions, I'll just kind of finish my little thesis.
Please,
there.
yeah. No, I like where you're going. Yeah.
Because I'm going to get this to be absolutely concrete by the end of this call. I realize this is a lot of sort of. It might appear a little bit abstract to people, particularly investors coming in, so thinking, well, hang on, how do I get my money back? But just bear with me. I respect all those opinions.
No, I think I see where you're going. Yeah, let's see where this goes.
Okay, well, I'll show you where it actually goes. So if you can decouple the unit of exchange and the exchange rate and do more interesting things with that. What we did that was interesting, and we figured this out, was reassign the exchange rate to the individual user themselves, meaning this exchange rate, the value of it is relative to each user and their data usage. Now, I can easily put this back into the real world. If you think, what's Rich been drinking, I can put this straight back into the real world, because all we've got to do is look at what an exchange rate is based on. A regular exchange rate in the real world with fiat. For one of a better example, we use fiat. What is an exchange rate actually based on? And it's based on supply and demand for the currency. No one's going to argue that. I think I actually got that out of Wikipedia. Okay, supply and demand for the currency. Yeah, you can't get around that. Well, and here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Work with me. If you remove the unit of currency itself, and just leave this personalized exchange rate, it's based not on the supply and demand of a money currency, but this personalized exchange rate is based on the supply and demand of data as currency, as generated, exchanged, and reused by each user. Do that, and you literally have the world's first 100% decentralized DeFi feature, a decentralized, personalized exchange rate that only you can control. It cannot be altered. It cannot be gamed. It cannot be exploited by third parties. The value of it is exclusively dictated by the data that you as a user generate, reuse, exchange, share, etc. It's completely 100% decentralized as far as I can see.
Okay. So to break that down for grandma, what does that mean for like when I'm using Dcentr? And I'm browsing, that's instead of some third party collecting the information of the pages that I'm going and collecting the information of what things I'm checking out, all that information is staying within my own personal little Dcentr ecosystem or whatnot, right?
Well,
so
it's all saved on the blockchain in your account. So you have your Dcentr ID, DEC ID. It's all saved in your account. It's all there so that you can extract value from that using various of our DeFi features, which I'm I'm coming to. But yeah, it's a very good
Beautiful.
question, because
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I'm not quite to grandma yet. I
Yeah,
realize
no, I just wanted to kind of
yeah.
get where we were to grandma level for me, so I can now
We're
move
almost
on
there.
into the next. Yeah, I just wanted
Well,
to see, like, so what are we actually physically talking about when we're using the data? Like now, now I got a tangible to the exciting magic that you're throwing at me.
Exactly. Well, that's easy. That's literally my next point, because we're getting
Cool.
more. I was going to go from abstract to concrete because people keep asking me, but there's some weird and amazing concepts we've just talked about. But what we've done, we've packaged everything I've just talked about into a feature, a primary feature that you will actually see if, excuse me, you left out, you're using the platform. It's called. It's your PDV rating, personal, excuse me, personal data value, PDV. It's granted automatically when you download the platform, and you take that with you through life, to be honest. And as you sort of browse and go, and use the internet, all of that is recorded. Every site you sort of go to, and your productive exchanges, etc., and what you do on the internet is recorded as your PDV, your personal data value, which can be deployed to give you certain economic advantages via our DeFi features, which I'm coming to. I'll make that a little bit more concrete in a minute.
Cool.
So that PDV is literally just a numeric value. It's a numeric value. It's set against DEC and therefore other currencies in the dollar. It is literally a personalized exchange rate that you can apply across various of our DeFi features. So automatically assigned when you download our browser, etc., etc., etc. So to get to your question of what can I do with it? What can I physically do with it? I'll just rehash a couple of things and get to that point. As I said, the decoupling and resigning of effectively a floating personalized exchange rate to each individual, I get that can be a little confusing at first because we don't understand what economics would look like in a decentralized system. We as a company are going to have to educate people more on that, and that's why I'm on this program and doing whatever I can to do that, because there literally is no precedent for it. I mean, a good example of this, the economic models we're actually developing to make the economy viable actually require new ways of looking at economics to account for it. And that's a struggle we're having even with economists. So if everybody doesn't get it from this initial program we're putting out today, the video we're putting out today, I do understand that. But in practice, and here's the answer to your question, this personalized exchange rate operates like any other exchange rate. For example, let me give you a real world example. The easiest way to look at this for grandma, and this is a slightly longer term goal. We don't have this feature on the side at the moment, but ultimately the expression of PDV needs to be applied to commercial activity on our platform. Purchases, for example. So simple math. If one DEC equals $1, okay? If one DEC equals $1 and your PDV is 1.2, then you get all purchases made via our site 20% cheaper. That's what the public needs to know. That's what grandma needs to know. The more you use it, the cheaper everything you do via our site gets. That's pretty much it. And that's why it is essentially a user-facing feature. Beyond all the rhetoric and everything I've described, it's simple. Your PDV goes up, prices go down for you relative to your data generation, reuse, and exchange. Simple as that. The more you use it, the cheaper life gets, would probably be the tagline I'd be looking for there.
So when you say from your site, what does that mean exactly?
Sorry, I should have said platform, actually.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I'm just making sure.
I misspoke. Yeah, once you've downloaded our browser and then you're sort of using our browser to access our platform, which is, by the way, I don't know if Emmett, you caught up with that last week. Remember, we're building a custom blockchain, but it's chain agnostic. So what we are looking at is a future iteration of the web is cross-chain integration with a lot of chains we are partnering with. So the browser will give you access to all of that as well, not just our custom blockchain. Just to clarify that.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice.
Yes. Okay.
So simple. The more you use it, excuse me.
Does
go ahead,
that
shoot.
become do any issues arise with that when you're working with other blockchains that aren't as decentralized or whatever you would want to call it, you know, or not?
Well,
not really, because it's
again, it would be specific to individual cases depending on what the permissions are, I guess, to a large extent. But the idea with PDV, and this is why it's so powerful, it can be ported cross-chain. It can be ported to any other chains. So the way we see this working, the way it's currently working, is these other chains would have data coming in, that have data coming in to our platform as part of the overall system. So we would be getting that data, and they would be getting the benefits for their users from PDV. In other words, what we do that nobody else is really doing in quite the same way is valuing the data coming in and giving ways to extract the value from that data, if you see my meaning. And that's
starting to get it. Yeah, I'm starting to put it together.
Yeah, it is. Again, it is a bit of a head trip at first, but once you get it, it's quite straightforward. Very straightforward, actually.
Yeah, I mean, when you summed it up there at the end, kind of with the higher that your PDV is, the less you're going to be spending for things.
Absolutely, because it's just an exchange rate like any other exchange rate, but it's personal to you and your data generation. So that is why it is literally 100% decentralized. Nobody controls that. It's all completely relative within the system.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty rad.
That's why we're quite excited about it, because again, we've got to push to real decentralization, not just use the word everywhere.
Right.
Which slightly worries me in certain cases. And there's a lot of great tech out there that's pushing in that direction. What we're trying to do by being chain agnostic is get everybody on board. Let's have the conversation. Let's have the integration. See what we can do. That's all we're saying. Our tech's open source. Anybody can come along and join the party. And that's what we're really trying to do here, is get everybody on board and have a little look at what we're saying. I realize the economics is a new way of looking at it, but I will tell you, any partner that we've connected with, and that is quite a few, once they've actually had a look at the principles, nobody can argue against the principles of economics and PDV. We just have to put it into play and keep developing it until it really is at the level we need it to be this game changer in terms of economics as applied to the next iteration of the internet. That's our goal. It's a lot of people's goals. It's just a question of getting together on that and having that conversation. So that's kind of why I'm here today. Let's hope somebody bites and we can get more collaborations going.
Yeah, absolutely. So like is it like, are you guys running like crazy economic model test type things to
Correct.
That's what's happening to see, and then the machine spits out different outcomes. If you run the test, you see the numbers of like what this means. Yeah, that must be fun to see those printouts pop out.
This is a very good question, actually, because that's exactly what we're doing. And you have this stuff pop out. I've actually got a paper on this. I might send you guys a little bit later. We didn't make it public because it sounds too crazy. The title of the paper was actually 2 + 2 really does equal 5 within our system, because that's what the figures were telling us. You can theoretically have a set of numbers on one side of the equal sign and a set of numbers on the left and right hand side that are different, but that can actually be applied to economic value within the system. I mean, we're not going to go into that now because it'll really spin people out. But you're quite right. We are running these simulations. We continue to get strange properties within those simulations that we can actually apply to economics, and we are beginning to apply that to our economic models to create basically more value in the economic system than currently exists. I mean, the value within the current economic system exists. I think we know it's not sustainable, right? I'm talking about fiat and
Right.
global markets, the global system. That is not sustainable. A never-ending debt-based economy is not sustainable. I will go on record as saying that here. You can't just keep printing new debt to pay off old debt and think nothing's ever going to happen about that. So we need to come up with something that is more sustainable. And that's why we are basing our economy and our currency on data, which is never ending, never ending. If you can refine and value it, and that's a great thing to base a currency on, because obviously, as we know, no currency is really based on anything much these days. I mean, the dollar and the gold system, that's long gone.
Okay, so let me ask you a strange question, or not a strange question. Maybe it's a strange question. I don't know. So say like I'm like a degenerate who just like watches porn all day long on my Dcentr browser.
Not you, sir. It's hypothetical, is it?
It's definitely not me. But like, and so I rack up all this porn data, right? Like, and so somehow like I could like sell that to a porn company or something like that. How does this work?
Well,
not that I do this, not that I wouldn't, but
no, it's not like that's a very specific example.
I know. I'm just wondering if I had one machine that was porn dedicated, to try to get one specific kind of data. Well, I mean, if I could do something like that.
You're mining the porn industry at that point. That's
okay.
Amazing.
It doesn't work that way. I know. I get it. I just
absolutely
could throw it out there.
It's very hard to answer that without you giving me your browser history. Can you give me that?
Yeah, all you'll get is like games and NFT stuff. It goes in a circle quick.
I believe you. But I do see where you're coming from with the question. It's the way the data, and this is a big point of what we're building. The way the data is very granularly valued, and the way it's valued in a relative sense. It's not just like I look at one site for a long period of time, or this site is good and is bad. It's got to do with licenses. It's got to do with what you do there. It's got to do with what you've done before and after that. Everything's on the blockchain. It's easy to value what you do. So you looking at a porn site may put your PDV up or down more than somebody else looking at it, depending what else they're doing within the ecosystem and what's being recorded on their personal chain. You see.
I see.
So there is no, if you do this, you will get a certain amount of PDV. I can give you a very good use case on how this is going to work, for example, in a commercial sense. So we're all about decentralization. We so you would probably think that I'm going to diss the advertising industry a little bit, which I'm not. It's not advertising that bothers me. Advertising is useful. It's the practices they employ to get you these ads that I'm obviously against in many respects. But once you have this decentralized system we're talking about, once we put up ads, if you engage with those ads, your PDV goes up. And not only that, you engage with the ad and you keep engaging all along the sales funnel. At every point on the sales funnel, that'll be recorded on the blockchain. So every time you engage with an ad and go through to sale, the products get cheaper every time you do it, because your PDV keeps going up, because that data is valuable. That is valuable, at least if not specific pieces of data. It's certainly valuable within an algorithm of how you shop. You don't need to know your details. It's just how you shop and where you found the ad. That is incredibly valuable data. So you should be benefiting from that. So all grandma has to know is, hey, more shopping you do, cheaper it gets. Rock and roll. And that's really what we're building here. We're trying to create more value in the system for both customers and retailers.
Gotcha. So what about the amount of time that probably adds up to more points, I would guess, right? More PDV. Like if I'm browsing, I'm on there all day long, and Emmett's only on there 2 hours a day, I'm probably going to have higher scores than Uncle Emmett over here.
Well, yeah, because it's all about engagement.
For
It's
sure.
all
Yeah,
about
no, yeah.
engagement.
It behooves you to engage. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess you've kind of picked that from the system and why we're pursuing it and why it's sustainable. We're not. I mean, we are doing giveaways and things like that. I'll come to that in a minute. But this system really isn't about just giving you stuff. It's about you giving us stuff and we give you the value back. So you go
Yes.
through an entire sales funnel. That's wonderful data. Help yourself. Have a cheaper product. We win, you win, and the retailer wins. That's what we want. That's the definition of a circular data economy, not a linear one.
Right.
Everybody wins. And that's what we're really all about, putting as much value back into the system through the valuation of data to benefit the majority of people.
And well, that's the beauty of the technology that is blockchain, and to find ways to empower it and to utilize it in the
Exactly.
ways that you guys are going forward
Exactly.
with it. Sounds
Exactly.
superb and excellent. And so now it's on us here to have these conversations and get the word out and get
Absolutely.
the smart people to know that, like, this is a legit, beautiful browser.
Well, thank you. And I think it is. As I say,
I do
we
too.
we are pushing. Well, thank you, Emmett. I appreciate that. But we are pushing. It's this circular data economy. I have to stress this. Our brains are set up to think in a linear fashion. I mean, not by evolution, more by I would say, I guess evolution. That'd be a subject to another program. But definitely, we're cultured to think in a linear fashion.
Yeah.
Time moves in one direction. Time is money. All of these sort of ideas. We can't see what a truly decentralized circular data economy might be able to do for us. Decoupling exchange rates from unit of currency. All these things matter because it puts more value back into the system.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's what we're all about. This idea of a circular economy and anything we can do to implement that. And that means we need as much decentralization as is humanly possible.
Well,
There's a
when I
lot of
first
people working in that direction. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're great. When I first got into the whole crypto space, and it was like, I swear to God, it was like every night for 6 months. It was like, which white paper am I going to read tonight? Like, and I was just like
Yeah,
blown away by what I was seeing in these white papers, and how, like, it was like I kept seeing it over and over again, like
mm,
everything that I was told and everything that I had learned up to this point. And I'm now reading papers that explain to me that it's all backwards, and here's the way to go forwards with it, and the way that these systems should have been put into place a long time ago. But then these other
yeah.
people saw ways to be greedy and steal money from the majority.
Oh my
And
God.
now
Okay, yeah.
it's
Here
time
we
for
go.
these techno punks to build these beautiful, like, technology pieces such as the
Exactly.
blockchain. And, like, here we are, we're off to the races to make it a more fair world. And I
hundred
understand
percent.
when you come back to the beginning of this conversation, you were putting a lot of fear into the concept of the mainstream companies taking over the
Mm,
blockchain, putting their name
yeah.
on it and stuff.
Mm,
So, like, this is a good point to, like, you want to get into good products that have, like, the right soul and heart behind it, which is,
agreed.
has your best interests in their interests. And it sounds like there's a lot of that coming from Decentr, and it's coming
Absolutely.
from your voice as well as
Respect.
your heart.
Respect.
So
Respect.
and
And
I
again,
feel it.
I just think you've made a good point there. It just worries me and concerns me greatly that the next thing is going to be the same as the last, but we just won't know it because it will have been labeled slightly differently. You see this all the time in every industry and throughout history. It's the same as it was before. You've just slightly relabeled it so we don't know. We're more comfortable with being exploited because it's got a new buzzword put on top of it. And that slightly concerns me. That's not everyone, that's not the whole industry, but I can see it being ripe for manipulation and exploitation unless we keep having these conversations and we keep being honest and open about it and interrogate the tech that is being built, starting with ours, but everybody else as well.
Yeah.
That worries me. That keeps me awake at night a little bit.
Yeah.
So you made your point there, and I want to be vigilant against that, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's you guys are definitely coming from the right place here, and I hope
Thank
I'm
you.
right. You guys, like, they're not paying me to say any of this stuff. There's no exchange. I just, I like I like Dcentr. I like the
Thank you.
evolution of blockchain and technology, and I want to support that and push it forward. So that's why I'm happy to have this conversation at 2:47
Great.
in the
Thank you.
morning now for us.
Absolutely respect. And I'm coming from exactly the same, I'm coming from the same space and the same place. All we're trying to do is make new partnerships with other blockchains that we believe we can work in tandem with, in collaboration with, to improve our product and theirs, and hurry this next iteration of the web up. You've seen I've stopped using Web 3. I was told off for it last week because it's too vague.
Mm-hmm.
Look, whatever you want to call it, we don't have time to define it today. The next iteration of the web,
Communication.
it's going to have to be decentralized one way or the other, and it better start at the economic level. Otherwise, we've got nothing. If it doesn't start at the economic level, then that can be manipulated by powerful vested interest with more money than you and I can ever shake a stick at. So unless it starts at the economic level, I would be concerned, and that's why we're focused on PDV. We're focused on personal data value. We're focused on decentralizing the economic level at the economic level first and making it circular. If it's circular, there's no weak link that anybody can jump in and go, hey, I know how to manipulate that to my advantage at the expense of everybody else. So we have to do that first, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. I think that's a good place to put an end to part 2, and we'll come back next week with part 3.
Well, could I have a couple more suggestions?
Please, yeah. No, I don't want to. Yeah, let's get it out.
I thought Emmett was about to say something, so I didn't want to jump in there.
Yeah, no, go for it.
No, nothing to say. Good.
I was interested in some of the DeFi stuff that you were mentioning earlier, but I'm not sure if that's what you were going to get into now. But yeah, I really like what you're saying.
Thank you.
And I like just being here, a part of the conversation as this space is being built out and as we are exploring it. I think this is the best way to to go about that, is to open up the conversation, to start it, to get the ideas out there for people to start learning to digest or coming up with the questions they have on their own. If anybody in the chat's got any questions, definitely drop a question if you got one, and we'll try and get to it. And if not tonight, definitely in the next one. And yeah, I think this is an important part of it for sure.
No, I agree. I mean, that's why I enjoy coming on podcasts like this, etc., and answering questions in our community as well, because we don't. If I sound like I'm trying to pretend I know all the answers, I don't. What I'm trying to do is, for want of a better expression, provoke a conversation, because we have to have that. My other slight worry is ironically, a lot of blockchain tech, because this is just how the world works, a lot of blockchain tech is kind of being developed in development silos to an extent. It's not deliberate, it's not mendacious, it's just we don't have that free communication between these development teams necessarily.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to sort of provoke the conversation on that, get people
open
to talk
that up.
to us. Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what you just said, Emmett. We need to open that up. It doesn't always happen because guess what? Developers are busy. They've got their heads down coding. I get that. But at some point, we do have to make that leap from tech to mainstream, from coding to commercialization. There's a phrase for you. Coding to commercialization. That has to be done as well. Otherwise, you're not going to get to mass adoption. And as we've talked about today, and very much so in the last podcast, we are really all about mass adoption. That's exactly what we're building.
Yeah.
Easy user interfacing tech that everybody can adopt, download now, and use. And we're all about that. And beyond that, as I said, our custom blockchain is chain agnostic. Anybody can join the party if they want to, and we'd love to hear from people, and we've got a lot of good we've got a lot of good partnerships as well. I was just going to say that actually, LeftHouse, I was thinking next week we could probably do something about our partnerships, because a lot of the
Yes.
partnerships also, I'll ask you why you think it's a good idea, but a lot of the partnerships is where the value is going to come from to give back to the user. So, if you want to get into that, what will I get? How much will I earn? A lot of that is due to the partnerships. Why do you think it's a good idea? I know you were keen on it last week. Do you see something? You tell me, and I'll go away and make sure I bring the information back to the.
Well, it's just there's a lot of companies on there that have come up or come across my radar, and I've looked into a couple of them, and I don't know, Chainlink has just done such excellent things in the space. Ocean has got such lovely things, so lots of people are saying great things about that. Cosmos, obviously.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, so and there's some that I don't know a whole hell of a lot about. So, but just to see the company that they're in, I'm curious to see how they all integrate into the Dcentr system.
Okay, well that is perfect.
So that'd be great. That'd be great.
You saw our announcements on IBC literally yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, IBC. It has been integrated, so that's going to be something great to talk about next week. But that's good, because at the moment everybody's still basking in the glow of the IBC integration that we've done recently. But next week we can really break that down for people.
We got people in the chat screaming out about IBC.
Oh, have they? Okay, well, fair enough.
Yeah, it's
we're going to be doing an AMA today, and I'll have on the AMA, we're going to be doing that in about we got 10, 11, 12, about 3 hours. We're doing an AMA, and we'll have our CTO there as well to give more detailed information on that as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to rock and roll, and we can pick some of that up next week as well with the other partnerships, because I was just trying to do with this series of podcasts, I was just trying to get from concept down to specifics. I think it's all important. I realize end of day people just want to know, so how do I benefit from this? But we're getting to that. Each podcast gets us a little bit closer, right? I think.
Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. And I have to say, sorry, Emmett.
No, I was just going to say, I think when we get to where eventually I feel like we all want to be with the mainstream adoption, it's going to be, it's that one-click access. It's the people, you don't really have to understand completely every aspect of what's going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
It's just knowing how you are able to benefit inside of the circle.
Exactly. And that's why I would say we distinguish ourselves as a project. That's what we are literally headed for. It's the one-click access. What do you mean I pay it's cheaper? Okay, I'll do it. I don't care how it's cheaper. No one does, right? It doesn't matter. People can get back to that. If you're using a product where you go and pay for things and it's cheaper, or I get a loan and I get a better interest rate, fine. I don't mind. I'll take it. 5%, 10%, 2%. I don't really care about what's under the hood, so to speak. I do understand that, and that's why we distinguish ourselves as a project, because that's definitely the direction we're headed, bit by bit. Everything I'm talking about today will eventually become just sub protocols of our next iteration web solution.
Yeah.
Just going to be sub protocols. You don't have to know anything, and that's really what I'm going for. You want to know that Joe Average that you just walked past in the street drinking a Starbucks would benefit, and that coffee would have been cheaper if it just downloaded our app, our platform. And that's all I care about too at the end of the day. This is just stuff we have to go through to get there, so that people in the space understand it and get on board, so it's even more powerful than us doing it just on our own. So I agree with you, Emmett. That's exactly right. That's where we're getting to.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I can almost see it as well. It's these conversations that, well, it clarifies it for you. It clarifies it for me. I think it clarifies it for the community, and that's where we really need to head. Because as Emmett said, it's this kind of process of education, isn't it? People don't necessarily know. And remember, the public, if you purely take it from a public perspective, the public gets a lot of bad media about crypto blockchain. It's all a scam. It's all this. They do get that. There's reasons behind why they're getting it. It's changing a little bit. I noticed that a little bit. but at the moment, the public is very skeptical of it. So you do need some way they can access it, that they can clearly see the benefits, and reassures them that it is a valuable technology, and it's a valuable technology for their lives.
Yeah.
That's again what we're doing as well. So awesome.
That's cool. We like games around here.
You like games around here?
Yeah, we play games all the time.
Well, life's a game, LeftHouse. Life's
Absolutely.
a game.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Sorry to be cliched.
No, not at all. I mean, actually, this is like kind of a good segue just to kind of like tomorrow on the show on the NFT Action News at 1 p.m. PST. We have an incredible play to earn game coming in. Green Rabbit. They're going to come in and they have a bunch of new updates and stuff. So that's going to happen. Then it's Whelps Wednesday as well. Our favorite beloved dragons. They're going to come in with a update as well. So. And then we'll talk about some NFTs with magical powers. So that will happen tomorrow. Yeah,
I will be there, and I will be promoting this this podcast live, so everybody will hear that as well. Cross promotion, as we've discussed before.
Beautiful.
That's what it's all about. Nobody can achieve this on their own. I tried, didn't go so well. You got to get together with people, similar minds, similar goals, similar aims,
absolutely,
and collaborate. So. It's my pleasure to be here as always.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, man, let's do it again next week and get into it. Go a little deeper down the Dcentr rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole.
Indeed.
Exactly. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. It was a great pleasure meeting you, Emmett, as well. You're clearly a very deep thinker.
Oh man, yeah, same to you.
Thank you very much.
Forward to learn more. I'll be digging in a little bit myself. I saw the Tech Hustler video that I started checking out.
Okay.
So looking forward to finishing that. And
awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to download the browser here as well and give it a whirl myself. Definitely.
Yeah, check it out. I'd love your feedback. That'd be fantastic.
Sure.
Great. Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always great to chat. As I said, telling LeftHouse last week, it's a little bit more informal here. We can really dig a little bit deeper without any restrictions. So I kind of like the laid back feel of this program. I'm always at your disposal. It's fun.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, excellent. I want to thank everybody who tuned in to watch live here. And if you're not watching live, please give us a like and subscribe if you're new here to the channel. We are live Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. PST, and now at 2 a.m. on Wednesday mornings here with Dcentr Action Live for a few more weeks. Maybe, who knows? Well, who knows how long this extended series may go?
Yeah,
it could go for the whole year. We don't know.
Well, that's the point, because you guys are wondering, do I ever shut up? Is it ever gonna stop?
Well, this is the evolution of Dcentr here. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's good to be a part of the ride.
I'll be here as much as I can. Hey, on final note, did anybody ask any questions, or was this a little bit too abstract in some ways for?
I think I did see one coming in here, and this would be it here. So I'm not sure exactly when this came in, but this is the question that I did see.
Go ahead.
So it could potentially be used to improve APY and the like on DeFi platforms.
Yes. Okay. What? I know where this question is coming from. It's a very good question. Whoever asked it. Who asked that?
That is from Fizzle Shizzle.
Fizzle. You know who that is? And I've meant to give a shout out. Fizzle is actually a very, very big supporter of ours, and he actually lives, I won't give you his exact address, but he lives on New Zealand's South Island.
Oh, amazing.
So he is up live listening to this at, Lord knows, about the same time you guys are, I believe, something like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Right on. Well, welcome, Fizzle.
Yeah, well, welcome, Fizzle.
Great name too.
Yeah, and I did want to say respect to all our New Zealand supporters, because they are staying up late to listen to this. So very good question, a very intelligent chat. Hello, Fizzle. Don't stay up too late. You don't want to get into any trouble with your wife, but we'll leave that right there. I know too much already. But yeah, a very good point. The APY, what he's asking about is, can PDV be applied to a better APY on any product on our platform that we develop? And the answer is, of course, yes. That's it.
One
can
word
be a fund.
answer. Yeah.
So you can get better interest rates on loans. You can stake your tokens, and that will be you'll get a better rate depending on your PDV. And I would just add, there's one other thing going on at the moment that we currently have a rewards pool on the platform. It's a little bit of a plug, but you won't mind, will you guys? A little bit of a plug.
Hit it.
It's a monthly rewards pool of 100K deck that we are giving away each month, and the share of which that goes to you is determined by your PDV. So this is an early iteration of the PDV system. So download it, and you're automatically.
I'm doing it then.
Okay, but you're already doing it.
Am I all right? Because I'm using it. I'm downloading it. That's all I had to do, huh?
Okay, well, I'm interested to see what you get. And of course, this is how PDV works.
Simple.
Now, a 100K deck is worth whatever it's worth, but the more you participate on the platform, the more that's going to put the data value up as a proof of engagement protocol, and that will put up the value of the token, which puts up your reward amount. You see, it's circular.
Right. Well, I just realized something here too. I did this. This came to me like. I sort of told a fib, I guess, a lie. I said that Decentr's not giving me any tokens in exchange, but that's kind of not true because I'm getting it for using the browser, but it has nothing to do with this stream. But I just wanted to point that out. I guess I am getting something from Dcentr already. So.
Well, you are one way or the other.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm getting my PV. Yeah.
Well, you're working that proof of engagement is what.
That's right.
Proof of engagement.
That's right.
Engagement, because that's the protocol we're working on here. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what. Because remember, if you're literally browsing the internet, doing things on the internet, and engaging, and every action you take on the internet is a on-chain transaction, you're actually mining data for us and for you. So that'll put the value of the token up, and you get to share in that. PDV partially, but also PDV definitely, but also the 100K that's on offer at the moment, on the table at the moment.
The early adopters pool.
Yeah, that is up to you what that's worth. That's up to you as much as us.
Yeah.
So again, rock and roll, circular economy.
So if you haven't done so yet, it's a great time to check out the browser here.
Yeah, by all means. Let's see what we can get going.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
I'm going to be doing it.
Okay, Emmett, you're the man. LeftHousr has already done it. He's already done it. So excellent.
We've onboarded another.
Yeah. All right, boys, let's call it. It's getting late over here. We've extended an extra 30 on this one, but a beautiful conversation it was indeed.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you, Em.
My pleasure.
And thank you guys all for tuning in. Any last words from you boys before we get out of here?
No, my pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you next week. We've defined what we're going to do, and I'm looking forward to it. I just hope Emmett comes back next week.
I'll be here.
Oh, be a regular thing. I'm looking forward to that. I just want to thank you for having me and putting up with my verbosity.
It's beautiful, man. It was beautiful. All right, boys. Let's get out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow at the 1 p.m. PST show there, the NFT Action News. All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. You have a great day.
All right. Peace, boys.